Good morning, this is Bill's Never Ending Projects, and I've lost track of what episode we're on, so 6 or 7 or something. So now we're on the, what's it called, relay, or the name relay reset. Got a table set up to put my schematic on where it's pretty close to the machine. And so when I'm not doing these picture boards that I got all over stuff out, do it getting a bigger picture on these circuits. I can't believe I've got this many of them now. That one was the trip bank relay, B motor relay, trip bank relay, more trip bank relay, trip bank relay. I guess the ones I haven't even got to yet, fast pitch. Run man. The 4 relays, 5. 5. This one just had the 2 switches, and it wasn't even marked on the schematic. Replay adjustments. More on replay adjustments. That was the Jones plugs enlarged. All the job duties of the Jones plugs. Or no, this is cam switches. Score motor cam switches. This is all to do with the score motor enlarged. I guess this was to do with the belly to the head wire. Because all these, this is a 9 count Jones plug. Count Jones plug. 11 count Jones plug. 10 count Jones plug using highlighting. 11 count Jones plug, highlighting. Well, here's what we're going to get. I got to pull out. It's the back box relays, switches. I guess I got those all written out. I'll have to pull that one out. Yeah, and this one we're about to get to, it's the high score reset circuit. What's up flimsy when you don't put them on cardboard? I guess this one was the circuit to show the travel path of the high score 1 through 10, or 1 stepper disc. Anyway, that one. Do I need to pull that one? Okay, yeah, this is the run unit. It's not the match unit, so I'll pull that out. Actually, we'll get to the discs that score with the 0 switches and 9 switches, so I'll pull that out. More of the first player, second player steppers. Run unit again. We're getting to it. Some of the Jones plugs are on one sheet, enlarged. What it was some of the ones that were small Jones plugs, like only 4, 3, 2, and 8. Is this one? Oh, I did wire colors of each of the Jones plug. This is the 10 jack, 11 jack, I'm sure I got another one up here. I didn't mark it. What did I do? I put I don't know, it's back when I had to wire the Jones plugs. More of the 1 through 9 to do with the run relay. Yeah, we'll be coming to that. I'll pull this one out. It's the high score reset relay, latch and trip, and the high score replay latch and trip. We'll definitely be getting to those. A board where I just had the back box relays names written down and their switches. One when I was learning score motor stuff. Since they only gave me the top C-cam layout, I guess I made my own B layout and A layout. Time with the B-cam, I didn't know why they staggered these. Now I know. We're counting the credits. Our reset relay picture board, yeah, we'll be getting that. I'll pull that out. Each piece of the missing part, I think it's some kind of a fuse breaker. I don't have a picture board on the hits. I could have used this, but I didn't go through the stack at the time, so I had to make another one. One I could have used when I was trying to find a picture of the score reel, because this is what you take off. Then when you move the stepper thing by hand, one click, I used the meter on continuity and seeing which switches were what, and of course the end of stroke you can see, and the zero when the zero switch when the meter changes, you can kind of face it the way it'd be in the machine, and you can see that zero would be facing the front. Pull this one out. That's back in my stash of picture board. I found out the other blade to my kick tilt, belly tilt, or whatever it is, kick off. No, it's not a kick, it's a kick tilt. The other blade that goes on here, and is missing. So that blade's missing. And the toggle switch has been bypassed. They got both sides wired together on one side. That would bypass it. And the pendulum tilt missing, but as long as these wires are separated, don't touch together, that should work. They're the 12 steppers we've been going through. I mean, relays, 25% index and start and so on. We're up to past the lock, past the second player, past the third strike, past the match impulse, past the name relay. We're up to the name reset right there. So that'd be this one. And then these little ones, it's the last of the little ones. Then it's the one that have 2 coils on so they can latch and trip. So we got 2 sets of those, and that finishes these off. So this one here doesn't seem to have too many switches on it. I'll bet you it's 3 at the most. Look at my little thing where I got them wrote down. I did send me the coin door with the guts. It's got this thing hanging here. I didn't know what it is. I will find it out. This is the start switch. There's no switch. There's no button. It's just a switch. So, I guess I would have to touch those together with a rubber glove on. Cool, when I plugged it in, it just stopped at index where that red dot is. But if I plug in this one, right here, right down there, then it'll just keep going. But I don't have it plugged in, it's just hanging. I already know it'll keep going. So anyway, I'd like to start working on this, but I think I'll finish the end of researching those relays and then the back box relays. Then I can start working on it. Well, I showed you all my picture boards, I think for the second time. I make those up because you can't hardly memorize a baseball game is about the same as a hand-wired computer. You can't expect to memorize everything. So you need to have stuff to look back at so you can go, oh yeah, that's right, that's how this is wired. So, but some stuff I do remember. So now we're on the name reset relay. L12 is going to be where the relay, name relay is at its coil, and the name stepper unit is going to be at L13. The stepper unit, let's take the relay, I guess that gets pulled in first. So the relay gets pulled in from, and it's 3 switches. It was 3 switches. I looked in the book, see them on the relay, but turned out it's all normally open switches. Okay, so I guess the name reset relay would be used for resetting the grand slams when it's on rivet 10, and that happens at game over. I don't think it happens in the middle of the game. So that happens at game over. So it trips off the latch when the game over is over, and that trips off the latch from being triggered by whatever it was. Got that memorized. It's tripped by the first player 4th rivet on the outstepper, or it's triggered by the 9th rivet of the out unit. So anyway, you got the 3 outs from the second player, and you're on rivet 9, game over, trips off the latch. The make and break switch duties change because it gets tripped in off the latch. And that's the game over. So that now pulls in for a total reset because you're on rivet 10. That's the only reason you'd be resetting the grand slams. So it puts the name disk back to 0, breaking the circuit. So tripping that off the latch. Okay, I had to pause and check this. That was wrong. When the game over gets tripped and you got 10 rivets, it completes the circuit, and most of that circuit gets broken from the name disk going to 0, because now it's not a complete circuit, wouldn't you think? Because once this goes to 0, now it doesn't come straight through there for the reset. So, but still, it pulls in. It doesn't pull in the name stepper. Oh, doesn't go to reset because it's not the reset relay. That's what I was going to say I did wrong. It pulls in the name. It doesn't pull in the name stepper reset, stepper unit. It pulls in the relay. Okay, so it pulls in the relay when you get the game over from the out stepper. So then this wouldn't change yet. this stays here. So that circuit doesn't get broken from going to 0. I'll cross that out. I'll cross that out right now. But it completes a circuit which pulls in the name reset relay, and it's 3 switches. Okay, so let's go back to the... Okay, I changed that, so when game over, trips off the latch, changes, now just pulling in the name reset relay, and it's 3 switches. That's when we go up to the duties of the 3 switches. Switch 1's at H13, switch 2 is at G11, switch 3 is at J13. They're all normally open, as we've seen from my chart. And on the back, I made it a little more clear. Of course, this will never stay there. Well, I guess it is so far. So we're going to find out switch 1 allows a good path to the name stepper unit reset. Switch 2 completes a free game path to the credit stepper. So 1 allows a good path to the name stepper unit reset because you're on the 10th rivet. And when you're on the 10th rivet, you get a free game for the 10 grand slams or more, because I'm pretty sure it's the pulse cam. Cam A of the score motor. So possibly you get 5 free games. So that, and then switch 3, the name reset relay hold gets broken from the score motor turning at 4B. So that's what we're going to find. Switch 1 isn't the hold switch. This time the hold switch is going to be switch 3. It's one of the rare times to break the hold. Okay, so switch 1 gives us a good path to pull in the name stepper reset solenoid, because it's a stepper unit, so that's a solenoid coil. Our good path comes when the score motor turns, and it comes through the game over being changed to down because it falls off the latch. So down here we get our ground, pulling the name stepper reset stepper unit, so we can start over collecting grand slams. And up here, since it's on 10, it goes this way, and we cross that out. We know it's just going to pull in the name reset relay, and it's 3 switches. Up path will happen first because this switch has to get closed. So obviously, when the game over happens, it's going to go this way first, pull in the 3 switches. Then this bottom path closes, and the name stepper unit gets reset if the score motor turns. I didn't research to see what starts the score motor at the game over. Yeah, I can't find my list of game over duties. So game over had 2 switches, the odd jobs on the game over A, and one was just to add the second coin path after the game reset. That's not going to start the motor. This one just changes the make and break, so you get that name reset if it's the 10th rivet, so that's the A's. Let's check the B's on the 6-volt side, so that's not starting the motor. These two, first player, it would just be closed. That is a score motor, but it would just be closed, and it would pull in a game over. For the second player, it just goes up and passes that, and then still pulls in the same thing through the same ground. It's just not turning. Okay, the other switch just changes it here for the match. To the question, we didn't see any game over thing starting this, but name reset is getting pulled in because you're at the 10th rivet. So I guess a replay stepper can go up Nope, it says here it's not going to get an impulse unless this turns. Even with this one, this got to be started to get this award. It's the path that's going to go through the name reset relay. That would be closed because it's pulled in from the 10th Grand Slam light, or 10th Grand Slam, so it cannot move a replay stepper because it has to have a pulse from the score motor. Back up near the top, here's the score motor, and there's all the parallel things that start it. So let's look. Reset, hold, relay switch 5, start relay switch 2, third strike, relay switch 2, 25-cent relay. Well, I was going to say maybe if you're getting the 10th rivet, you're getting a run, but this thing doesn't tally up until the end of the game. So you don't get your credit till the end of the game. Otherwise, when you get your run, maybe there's something that turns on the score motor, which we haven't done the 0 through 9 or the 10 through 90 score reels yet, to how the run switch is hooked to them. Or like pinball, it's just one single run at a time in the game. But if you get Grand Slams and you get the light here, it seems like you're not getting the award till the end of the game, because that would come down and then you get your award. But if the award has to have the score motor, and I can't find out what starts the score motor, the name reset, when the game's over, the reset probably doesn't need the score motor, that just needs a pulse. It's probably a total reset. I think I just acted like this was the name reset stepper. This is just a relay. It pulls in its 3 switches. Then its 3 switches doesn't need a score motor to pull in. So that leaves what the 3 switches do, and we already figured that out. 3 closes and holds the name reset up. Gets its ground through that score motor being closed without it turning anyway. And this is going to be down because not this one goes up. Going to be down because the game's over and it's not latched, and there's the ground. You can see how the relay, the name relay gets pulled in. So that definitely gets pulled in without the score motor. And then this one, the name stepper unit, since it's 10 and you want to reset that, it's not going to reset unless the score motor turns to 2B. Probably means B cam. And it gives me the job duty of that motor. There's no complete thing here. And right above it, this one has to turn to send that and this is closed, and it's going to give that replay stepper your credit, but it's going to work unless these two. Well, I'm not going to know. I'm not going to spend any more time on it right now. There's other things I couldn't figure out. I imagine there is something that turns the motor at the end of the game, otherwise they wouldn't have it this way. So these are both closed. That would get its pulse up there, and this would close to do the total reset on the name stepper. So that closes out the 3 switches, that one, and that one, and the name stepper unit reset, and the name reset relay. I know I kept getting these two mixed up throughout the whole thing. And they put an L here. There's no reason for an L. This is not in the bank relay, and that's the only way they put L's on them. So, okay. Instead of going to the high score stuff with the trip and latches, when I was looking for that, looking to see if the score motor started up on game over, but because I don't know. And so now I jumped on to doing stuff that might have had to do with the score motor, but I guess it doesn't. It's actually not called the score motor. It's actually called the relay motor. It works with those 12 relays. Started working on how it scores. So, forget this top one, start here. 1, 2, 3. So I started with the run stepper. When the guys go around the base, they trip a run switch. Okay? That run switch energizes the run relay in the back box. And it's energized by way of the run stepper unit end of stroke switch. That puts the run relay on because the end of stroke switch pulses the run relay. Imagine this all happens in just a split second. So you get one pulse for one run. It's just quick. So the run relay pulls in for a second, and while it's in, I guess it holds itself on long enough to score. Then the switch 2 is with the first player 0 through 9 white drum, and switch 3 is with the first player 10 through 90, and switch 4 is the large bell. Now that run stepper has, of course it couldn't just have one end of stroke. It has switch 1, switch 2, and switch 3. None of them are labeled that way. It just says end of stroke. Alright. First one, I labeled the first one, of course, because it pulls in the run relay. So that would be the first one. The second pulses the high, I know what I wrote, high score impulse relay. That's a back box relay. Yeah, that one in with the 12 was a high score reset. And high score replay. Those are the two I haven't got to yet. So the high score impulse is definitely in the back box. And then it, see what I wrote there. If you get a lot of runs and your telephone pins are stuck in certain spots on the run stepper, you get free games for passing X amount of home runs. And they got it set so you can get a free game and then another one as you get higher and higher. I don't quite remember as I did study that at one time. At 10H, 21J, and oh, I put 10H twice, didn't I? Okay, well, we'll find the one I didn't mark down. And the run relay is gonna, be that number 1 hold switch, 0 through 9, 10 through 90, and the large bell. Okay, past the big switch, way down here to 26. We got the run switch from the playfield. It's getting its ground going up this way, the same way we went for the home run, I believe. Yep. And then we'll go up to that F17. Yeah, gets it through this closed game over relay pulse.
That's F24.
Okay, so it gets its ground through a closed score motor. And it's not like that score motor gives it a pulse, it's just a closed switch going to the ground. So this is going to be like turning a light switch on. So this is near the home plate. When a player comes around and then ducks out of sight, he hits this switch about 3 inches before home plate and just triggers it down and up, same as any of the playfield switches. And then it pulls in the run stepper. I went all the way up to number 8. So I guess the first player and second player scoring drums are pretty close to the top of the schematic. And now we got then the run relay that has those 3 switches, no 4, will get turned on by an end of stroke. So let's follow back and see what it is. I've highlighted it. Just didn't call it switch 1. But since it's pulling in the run relay, I'm going to call it switch 1. So it's run unit or run stepper unit, end of stroke. It gets its ground through this. It only lets you have 45 rounds, so if that's not open, it gets its ground through there. The run relay is pulled in. Have to do its 3 switches. So here's this run relay, and right next to it, switch 1, like they usually have one, called a hold switch. This switch is wired directly to the hot that pulls this in, that this wire goes to. And then so what breaks this hold? Because this end of stroke that put it on only was for a second. Now it's being held on by the run relay switch 1. So you come over here to where it gets its ground to see how we break that. We come over here and we see that it gets its ground from the first player end of stroke that's normally shut. So when that first player drum scored 1 run, it moved a rod or a switch that opened that switch, that end of stroke switch. So when this gets open, now this is cut. And when that's cut, all 4 switches are cut. So here's the switch that would have triggered the run to the 0 through 9. And if it was going to flip over to number 10 through 90, it would have used, I guess, switch 3 to energize it. And then we got switch 4, which is, okay, I finally found it way down here on 30. Simple, rings the large bell. I kind of got it covered up, but that says large bell. Run relay switch 4. Now we just got the end of strokes on the run stepper. The first one we must have showed you, it pulls on the run relay. Let's look at that. Run relay. There. End of stroke. I suppose I could put a 1 there. Okay. I stuck a 1 in there for switch 1, end of stroke. Now let's find end of stroke switch 2 from the run stepper. Relieve. This is the one that pulled in the run relay. Here's the one I named switch 3. Run stepper unit, end of stroke switch 3. It goes from those adjustment telephone pins that you can put in to get your free games at different spots. Maybe there's a spot for 25 runs and 35. I think there's 40 and then 45 or something like that. I'd have to go look at it. And then, so if one of those completes a circuit, it's going to get its ground right from the ground rail. So it's right away going to energize that replay stepper and complete the circuit to the hot rail. Through the open at 45 switch that's closed, because they won't let you have over 45 replays either. I guess they only want you to have 45 runs and 45 replays. I think both of those had a pin that other people had in there to stop some of these in the 20s. I took it out. It was even in the teens, I think. So that's the path to get your replay for the run unit. And that again was number 3. It says number 2. Number 2 is going to pulse the high score impulse relay. Let's go down there. I think it's way down. 21, I went too far. There it is. The game keeps track of their highest run, and they set it at 20 on the red score reel. So if you beat the 20, then if you put it on 25 or something, it'll hold that. And so with the run disc, it comes down to the high score one stepper unit disc. And up here is where it goes to 10 or 20, 30, and 40 or whatever. High score 10 DU drum unit disc. So down here they call it a stepper unit disc, and up here they call it a drum unit disc. Okay. So anyway, when it beats the 20 and starts putting 21 and 22 and so forth, every time you get one higher, it must come through here, through this end of stroke third switch. No, I marked it second. And then it makes the high score impulse relay in the back of the back box do the same thing as what we were doing here with the run relay. Be the red score reel that it would make go up one notch, one step. Score reel drums are steppers. They're just continuous steppers. Okay, that completes the scoring. So call it a day for this and do some more another time, I guess. Okay, let's go down the list to the one highlighted, high score, reset, latch, and trip. Reset, so the high score is going to have, the next relay we're going to cover is the replay. This one's got the reset. The next one will be replay. It'll be easy to get confused, but this is the reset. And the reset locations are going to be the coils. Looks like these numbers on this side aren't even matching this side, but it's between 12 and 15. I'd say 13. The reset coils here, but we're going to have 2 coils. One's going to be the trip, and one's going to be the latch. You could get mixed up with the high score impulse relay. High score impulse relay. C switch 5. C switch 5. It's a duplicate name, so when I get to that, we'll have to sort that out. So you got the high score reset, which comes first on the list and in the machine. Then you got the high score replay. Then you got the high score impulse relay in the back box. So those 3 are all going to say high score to start with. I was showing you that tilt thing is broke off. That's that weight that's supposed to be on there with this other blade. I'm missing this. And I'm missing the swing tilt. Okay, so again, we're at reset, not replay. So the reset locations are, first we have to find both coils. This says this is the trip coil. So we won't worry about finding the latch one for a few seconds till I show you where these switches are. But we got one found, that's the trip coil. So anyway, the manual reset at 15, at F15 is switch 1. The other reset button is 2 ones 1. A 1 goes to the high score 1 stepper. Number 2 goes to the high score number 10 through 90 stepper, except it doesn't go up to 90, so it's the 10s anyway. So this is just the locations. I'll get the bigger sheet. So we got at 15, we got switch 1, 2, both manual, and then we come back up counting 3, 4. So it's going to be easy to find these, very easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then switch 5's right in front of the coil of the trip. So let's go to the other ones now. Okay, we're at the 12 to 13 area, only we're way over here by the L side. J would be about in the middle, F's on this side, L's on this side. I usually just stick to F, J, and L. You don't have to put the K and the other ones in between I. That's easy enough to find them. So this is going to be play switches. I'm kind of taking both these at once, sort of. So switch 1 is near the coil. Then it goes this way. Switch 2 up by 11 and stuff. And switch 3 is on the 6-volt side. We won't go there right now. It's just over there, easy to find. Then we come back and go underneath to 4. And then we go way down to 18 for switch 5. So the reset ones come first, so let's find that other coil, because with the replay I already found it. It's here, and then the other one's way down, follow the arrow, it's way down there. So one's at 18, one's at 13. So let's see if we can find that other coil. And the one on the top, more of the schematic, is the trip. Let's see what we got on the other one. Yeah, it's also the trip. So we just got to find the latch. And if it's like the other one, it'll be down that way. And look through these. Not that one, not that one. Nope. Second player setup, nope. Second batter, second high score, replay, latch. High score, play latch, that's it. So,
No, it's not.
Get that highlighted. Red bracket around it, I mean hot pink.
That's going to be wrong.
Then we'll put some highlighter.
It's going to be wrong.
Oops, I'll put one that hooks these together so we can follow it down. There we go. That was just my title of the page. Going a little further here.
It's still going to be wrong.
There it is. That was wrong. I put it down from where I highlighted the relay that we're covering again. So there it is, down to there. So the latch is down on 18 and the
No.
trip is on 13. So it's like the other one. The latch is lower in the schematic. I can shrink it and you can see them all in one. So we got latch down here and the trip up here.
I still think I'm wrong.
This is the reset, so it's easy. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then latch down there. So now I just got to review the circuits and I'll come back. I'm working on why the high score reset relay shows all normal open switches, because the high score reset trip and it shows this one normally shut. So I'm thinking about that because this can't high score reset trip. I marked as one of the 4 switches because I got it marked 1, and so when the score motor, I looked it up, this high score reset trip pulse is 4C. How do I know that? I clicked on this one and went down to this wire because high score reset trip switch 1, and there's the high score reset trip coil to trip it. So there it is, 43. That's the wire, and this one over here is 86. It must cover all these 86. Usually you're on the ground and it's 30, but this one's 86. So 40 is a solid green, but there's 3 of them used in the machine. So anyway, we look up 43 by blinking back on this, and we look for one that says 43. I just looked for a high score reset trip pulse, and there it is. It matches 43, and there's the 86. And it is normally closed. That's type 2 switch, and it says it's on C cam, and it's 4Y, I believe. I click back over to where it was. Yep, it says 4 C cam, and it doesn't say Y switch. I could add that. Oh, I got a Y added to it. What's a Y? Go back over to that and find out. I know what Y is, but there it is. Y is the second one in the stack, furthest away from the cam of the score motor. So that switch on that cam, on that motor, score motor A, that's what the A is. So it says it will close at 4C, and it'll be Y switch. That don't say what's going to start turning the score motor to do that, but when it does, this switch has to be shut, and it shows that I got it open, but then it will trip this. I don't know, they're supposed to be reset and unplugged. So even if this was left on 40, on the run limit, this would already be tripped and reset, and then this should be probably open again, because this score motor is going to turn for many other things. That's why you always have a switch, and this would be open unless you're going to trip it to reset it, because that's what it's called, reset trip. And from doing the bank relay with the trip and the latches, we know how those work now. So the score reset should be latched until somebody until it automatically resets, or you do it manually. So we're working on that. Let's go down and look at the run unit. Okay, so the run unit has a special one for the high score. There's another run unit. Let's go prove that. There's another run unit. So let's go prove that there is one. That's the match stepper one. I went up to the top by the transformer, and I'm coming down, and this is the only one it shows. And I think I've seen it now. The run adjustments are on a separate one that's not as huge as this. Let's find that to prove that. I know where it is. It's going to be up by the where you get the credits. There it is. I'm by 10 and 11 right here. It's a miniature thing of the run unit. You have your telephone plugs in here for when you're going to win free games for getting so many runs. They're not showing that whole run unit. Replay over here, and the path was down here and over to here and through there, and so they don't show 2 run units, they just show a piece of one. This whole big one is only for the high score. So what do you see first? You look at this long thing. Well, I wrote it in there, so now you know. This is for the high. This whole thing's for the high score department. The red drum unit. There it is. It's that. That's the one we're talking about. So we'll have something on it for topping the high score, but we haven't got to that, or maybe we did. I don't think so. Look at that high score reset trip pulse and 4Y. So then you go around. It's 1, 2, 3. Then 4 starts back over here. 4Y. It's over there on that one. Oh, machine. I think this is turned around backwards. The motor's in the back, I believe. They have a little circle cut in the plywood because this takes up a little more room to sit there. It's a mess with all the wires. You can't even see these because there's so many wires. I don't have this neat harness yet. Maybe I could redo it a little at some point. But you can see this clear spot on here. There's no numbers because they only let you go up to 45. Then they have that switch that we're talking about that will have it reset then probably at the end of the game, or I don't know about it doing it during the game. Refer to the high score impulse relay. It's one of these two because I think the run relay's first, I think. Of course, on mine, it could be anyway because I didn't have any of the stuff. It's all I bought an empty yellow box. There was absolutely nothing in it. Not even that piece of plywood that you build the stuff around. I had to take a piece of plywood and cut all these holes. Okay, so you can only reset it to 20. That's why it starts here on 20. I marked it, they didn't put that there. And then this is 30, that's 40, and there's your 45, and there should be a switch that will shut or open or something, and it would be called the 45 limit. And then every 10 this moves up because that's the 10 drum unit, and this is down there is the 1 drum unit. To the switch that will set the reset if it hits 45. That's where I got started thinking that since we did the bank relay and they stay latched until you trip it, so I would say that score drum at 45, or that run, while I was thinking, I acted like the red continuous stepper for the red stepper would have the something to reset it, set it 45, but I don't know if it can do that. Gee, I'd have to go pull it out of the game. It seems to be, I do remember there was something on there, because a normal drum unit, let's say the 0 through 9 has the, let's see, I guess the previous high red drum unit works differently than the white drums. Because we already went through the white drums. The run switch goes down in the playfield. This energizes the run stepper unit coil. One click for one run switch click. This turns and energizes the back box run relay switch 1. Run relay moves white score reel 1 run at a time. If it was on 9 runs, the white score reel 9 switch will trigger the tens column. That's how those. But with the with these, I think there is 10 lugs that are just for this, that go to this. This is the match stepper, this is the run stepper, this is the credit stepper. These are continuous steppers. All of them are continuous steppers that have 9 switches to do the other column. All of them have a 9 switch. The match stepper is a continuous stepper. It'll reset when it gets up to 45. This one goes up, the credit one goes up one at a time, and it comes down one at a time. Those are the United type that Williams used back then, Jones plugs. So then there's wires hooked from the run disc to the high score one disc. So I went downstairs and looked. I have 10 wires coming off the run unit, and I've got 10 wires going to the high score stepper, 1 through 9 stepper disc, go through 9. They just call it the ones column. This is a picture of the stepper before I hooked any of these wires to it. These down this side of the run stepper are for your getting your free games at a certain amount of runs. Depends which phone plug is in which one.
Mine are set at
There's
18
even
and
some down on the
22.
bottom.
18 and 22.
But this is what we're talking about now. These go to the reds column stepper. Those wires going up to the high score red continuous stepper unit, they get energized from beating the high score. Each time a run is made, not only will the run relay be energized so that the white score reel can go up 1, the high score impulse relay put down the high score end of stroke switch. So I was trying to think on the score reel. I was trying to name all 3. You got the 9 switch, the end of stroke switch, and as I just wrote them down, finally thought of them. You got the 0 switch, 9 switch, and end of stroke switch. What I wrote a couple years ago, again, the high score. So the high score red continuous stepper needs energized from beating the high score. From beating the high score. Each time a run is made after that, not only will the run relay be energized, and we know how that works, as it goes to the run relay, and the run relay triggers 1 run for the score reel from the end of stroke switch from the run stepper. So we know this doesn't work that way because we have these wires going from the run stepper up to the high score stepper. So when you get up to the where you're going to beat the high score, I think that page just said it's going to, so we'll find out from reading the schematic, but it don't make much sense until you figure out what all this stuff is happening. So yeah, that was a radio I could get for $15 from 1939, but I have to go 2 hours to get it. I might now. So the high score red continuous stepper needs energized from beating the high score. Each time a run is made, not only from there on, after you beat it, not only will the run relay be energized, so will the high score impulse relay. So it'll energize 2 in the back box at the same time. The high score end of stroke switch breaks the high score impulse relay switch 1 hold. the high score impulse relay end of stroke switch wiring is colored, see, I had to wire it, so this is just some notes from me wiring it. Colored orange-gray to break the hold from the high score impulse relay. So I guess after it triggers the high score impulse relay, I guess there's an end of stroke to break the hold on the score reel. So that would be what the end of stroke on the score reel's for. The 0 switch, 9 switch, end of stroke switch. This looks like I wrote the 9 switch. Must be this one. Then you got the a 0 switch and an end of stroke switch. Yeah, so as you keep getting higher than the 20 set runs or whatever the last player left it at, the 9 switch will make it click here to go into that 2 will go up, and then this all just repeat, only to be sort of like it would be here. And then this one would trip for 30, and then this would be 30, and then you only get 5 on the next one. And then that's where I think this continuous have something. Or it could be on the run disc. I think it's called a 45 limit switch. 45 run limit switch. And so wherever we see that on the schematic, we'll know where it's on, whether it's on the, I think it's on the run disc, but it's been a couple of years since I've done it. It'd have to be a whole different angle to see the end of stroke switch on here. So it looks like the high score impulse relay switch 1. Let's see here. So the run unit's supposed to be signaling the run relay and the high score relay now. See where the high score end of stroke thing would break the hold. So, you know, it has an end of stroke switch, and it's normally closed, but it will break the hold every time you get a run on the red drum, and that would break the hold here, going to the high score impulse relay. So then the run unit end of stroke does hit the high score impulse relay here. The run unit has 3 switches on the end of stroke. Well, one of the switches obviously goes to the run relay. Oh, we're looking at the one, they're not numbered, but we're looking at one that goes to the high score impulse relay. And then that would pull switch 1 in. And when you get your run, the end of stroke on the high score stepper breaks the hold. That switch 1 makes sure you get your run for sure, because this holds it on. Now we know how the schematic looks for how that gets that off the run stepper. It's just like to move the white score drums, it sends something to a back box relay, and that does the other work. So now we'd have to go find, can go back up to the score drums. We were doing this before we even cover the scoring, but we sort of just did it. If I just look at the where the impulse relay triggers the score drums, these are the 1 through 9 white ones, and we're at 8. So we don't want those. We want the high score first. 0 through 9 first player, 0 through 9 second player, and then first player, second player, first player, second player. So that covers the white reels. That was on 8 and 9, so let's move down a little. I'll just look for them and I'll bring you back. I found them. They were not next to those other ones at all. Those were up here at 8, so we had to go all the way down to 13, 14, 15, and that's right where we're working to explain the high score reset. So that's good. So here's the high score drums. High score 1 stepper they call it, so it's 0 through 9, and then the 10s that goes up to 40. Easy to cover this. Those are the drums, 2 columns, and there's only 1 reel. Not like the first player, second player. The first player and second player share raising these up. So this the number 1 switch and number 2 switch on your reset 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 1 and number 2 are manual button.
But I don't think that's going to be 1 and 2. Later on, I'm gonna say no.
On another sheet, I drew a little button out here on each one. If you push the button, it'll keep closing this, and it comes over, and it. Okay, so first we got to explain this. I was going to say, other than explaining this, it would come over and go up and move the score reel back to 0. That'd be the 10s column. It's the same thing with the other reset button. It would come through and do the ones column. But for that one, for some reason, I had another switch that had to be closed where the other one didn't. There wasn't one here. It's the high score impulse relay. That's the one that's one in the back box that if you're not doing it manually, is the one that's going to pulse this. And look at, we got high score impulse relay 5, and then we go over here and down, and we got
I forgot those were for reset.
Impulse relay 5. They doubled it again. 5. I drew that little green line. 5. Let's take these odd-shaped things that are in the circuit. This one says it's make means close, so when it gets to 9, this is going to close and bring this 10s column up from another number. So if it's on 20, it's going to go to 30. So that's what that one's going to do.
Except
why is it separately here? If I continue anymore, I'm going to highlight all the high score impulse relay switches.
Oh yeah, I do
that.
that.
I seem to have got a few of them where I know where they are already. Okay, so I have found a lot of the switches to the high score impulse relay. This is the one that we just decided the end of stroke switch on the run stepper sends not only to the run relay but to the high score impulse relay. And so then its 5 switches get pulled in. Switch 1 right here holds it on. I should have circled it. Switch 2 is way up at 11.5. Right here. So this, I just highlighted this path. So when the run unit gets up to, I guess they can set it to less runs, but let's say it's set on the limit, 45 runs.
I'm just guessing.
When you're getting a run, this would be pulled in because this is switch 2. Okay, so that's what switch 2 does. It would be pulled in to allow a clear path to go over here and pull in the switches of the high score reset relay. The coil and all its switches. The coil pulls in and changes all the switches from normally open probably to normally closed. Let's see, it's written down right now. So skip that. Now to switch 3 of the high score impulse relay. So again, that's the path to reset it. When you get to 45 or another one you pick, down through here, over to pull in the high score reset relay. Let's go down to F17. F's right here on the edge. Yep, and there it is, circled right there. Over and see what it does.
I get this wrong. Look real closely. And it says,
there's nothing in between that whole thing.
look real closely.
Like
it says replay. We're on the reset.
Hey, all that did is it pulls in the high score replay latch coil. Well, of course, this is not a trip bank latch, so I'll have to understand how it works. Must mean this shuts every time you get a run up there. So I guess that would mean to assure that this stays latched, but once it's latched, it's latched. So then it just isn't going to do anything, I guess. Gotta have some theory. That's how it gets latched.
Except I wasn't even talking about the right relay.
I guess I did want to know that.
I'll find that out
I
later.
find switch 4 of the high score impulse. An hour later I found them all. Maybe it was only half hour. It turned out number 5 switch had 2 of them. So I crossed this one out at F14 and made it switch 4 that I couldn't find. So now we got all 5. The first one, this is the high score impulse relay that will be giving the high score. So if we're covering everything about the reset, you kind of got to know how the high score gets the, maybe you don't, but we're doing it. So the first one holds it on. The second one makes a clear path for a reset from the run relay. We're going to go over these a second time anyway on the schematic. The third switch, if it isn't latched, we'll latch it. The fourth switch gives power, so when the 9 switch, so this all pulls in when you get a run. So if it's pulled in, then when the 9 switch says it has to,
I don't think that's right.
Go up 1, it has power. And the last one, it's the 1-point drum. One moves if it's going to be the 10.1 for that click. So then you need to have one that's going to move the 1 point or you're not going to get any high score. And so that would be the switch 5. 21, way over here, L, so 21L. You got the high score impulse relay that I've started to cover twice. It's from the run unit. It splits. It's like end of stroke on the run unit has a like a splitter there. So like if you wanted to plug 2 things in a 1/4-inch jack, you'd put in a pigtail thing, so you could run 2 guitar cords out. Here it's an end of stroke. It just has another switch to do that on the run unit, and then so not only doing a run, it does the high score impulse relay, and but it doesn't. It comes off these, and it doesn't give one until you get to 20. So how does it do that? How does it know? How does it know the difference from 20? Then I guess maybe it doesn't, and it doesn't come off the run unit end of stroke. But it probably is just the other one that does that, because this one comes off the rivet. Otherwise it wouldn't know. So I guess it is just one, and there is a end of stroke to break the thing. It's the high score stepper has an end of stroke just like the run stepper, and that breaks the hold when you get that run. But I don't see an end of stroke. This is the run unit end of stroke right here, right? End of stroke. Oh, So this seems to be where it comes off for everybody. But if they both come off here, then you wouldn't get any runs on the white columns until you got to 20. Or what am I gotta think this out a second. Okay, it doesn't say what run unit end of stroke. So this would be switch 2, just because I didn't put that up there. Okay, switch 2 there. So let's go find the switch 1 that does the other one. As if this is not open and you don't have 45 runs, you get it ground. And there's the run unit end of stroke. It's right before. It's just like down there. It's right before its relay. It's called the run relay instead of the high score impulse relay. A lot shorter name. It also has a switch that will break the hold. Breaks the hold from this switch. It's those end of strokes from the steppers. So every time you get your score, this opens every single time you get a score, and that breaks it. So if it's for player 2, it breaks it. If it's for player 1, it breaks it. Of course, this one wasn't labeled either. So in case I guessed them wrong, you'd have to use wire color, but it wouldn't do me any good because mine wasn't wired. I wired it, and I used different wire color. So I'd have to look for my notes. Since we went and got off track, one switch is going to hold it on, another is going to give a path to a reset, another one's going to make sure it's latched, another one is going to give the 1s column, another one's going to give the 10s column. Right over here, we're at the switch 1 holds us on when now we know switch 2 of the end of stroke from the run unit. So it does split, has 2 switches. So it's just like I said, if you put in a dual cord, that it turn one thing into 2. Again, it's like using a Y cable for a splitter where you put something in a mono plug and then you can put 2 out. Here, they need 2 signals to come out of the run unit. One to go to the white columns for player 1 or 2, or drum units or score reels, whatever you want to call it, and another signal to come over to this one. So that other signal went to that other signal went directly to the white score drums. This one's going to go directly to the red score drums through its switches, just like probably with the run unit. And so it isn't just going to be one switch where it goes directly to it, because one switch is already used up to break the hold. So then you'd have to have a second switch. So let's go see what the second switch does. It's a long way from here. It's up here at 12. It's going to follow this path. I already can tell you what it does. It pulls in the high score reset relay if you were on 45 runs. So the run unit has something that will connect this up where this would not be connected on any of the other rivets, but you can probably put a pin in to make it less than 45. So when you get it up to wherever they have it set at, or 45 runs, see, this will close every time and it just won't do anything. But if you're at 45 runs, it will close and will reset the high score reset relay. High score reset relay. Oh, it doesn't reset a high score reset relay. It pulls that in, and that in turn will. That's the one we're actually almost. That's the one we're actually on. So this is why we had to go through this. So that'll pull that in, and then that has those 4 switches. So we're almost to there. Which one holds it on? Switch 2. If it needs reset, we'll pull in the high score reset relay. Looks like we got to go to switch 3. IC4 and IC5. Where's 3? Obviously further down then, so... Oh, I just found it. I didn't make it green. Now I will. It'll be easier to find. Okay, when the run stepper splits it when you get a run, it went to the hold relay. It went up to give a path in case it needed reset. Now it's giving a path to make sure the high score is latched. And if it's already latched, I guess it just won't do nothing. And so every time you get a high score over 20 or beating somebody else, it will probably keep latching this.
See, I still haven't figured out
where to
that.
go up to those other ones.
That one's a replay.
Right here. This one will. This is the one where all 5 of these switches pull in from the high score impulse relay. So when this one pulls in case you were going through the 9 switch to make this one trip, instead of this one, you would get that. And then it's simple with the other one. Ground.
The 9 switch is wired from the...
I didn't highlight it, I used to.
They got a jumper wire going between them, I think.
And there's our switch. It's a make and break switch. Close to the bottom feed so that you could manually use the high score reset buttons. But when the high score run unit end of stroke gets a run from the run stepper, it splits to both. Again, they all pull in because the run unit has the end of stroke switches, and our feed switch 2 goes to the high score impulse relay. Switch 1 goes to the white score reels using the run relay. The run stepper goes up 1 notch from a run. We're talking about the red score reel, so this will go up and then back down. And this I showed you, this whole thing just comes off the ground. There's no other switches in there. So then, here's the coil right here. It's going to move. It's going to pull in this high score 1's column solenoid and adds 1 run to the high score unit there. And so that's the real switch 5. So that's the end of the score gets there. Now we want to reset it. So it's going to be easy. 2 of them are hand done. Hand done goes through here, goes up there, and does the 10 point, and the other one does the 1 point. It gets the ground, and over here it gets the hot rail, and in between is the stepper that will go 1 click as many times as you click the button. But remember we said it went through here and we would figure out what this is. This is a 0 switch for reset, I guess. It opens at index. Okay, it doesn't say it opens at 0 because they set this back to 20 points. So it starts on 20. They don't let you do it any other way. And this one's reading different. This says open at index. That says open at index.
That's the
I
same.
guess it isn't doing any different. So anyway, I don't know why this one have index, because you'd probably wanted it 0 for 20. But I guess because you could set it to any other number and or something, and so they put an index on it. Anyway, open at index,
So that means they're closed now to give your high score. Okay, so we've shown how the hand reset buttons work. Pretty easy to see. They come over and go right to each column. Now, the other one's a little more complicated. Yeah. Here we hook both the latch to the high score reset coil. But does that say trip? It does. Trip. So this is the trip. Well, we know how the latched one gets latched. You get this number 3 switch to come in when you get a run. It makes sure it's relatched. So let's find how it gets tripped. Okay, it's not even highlighted, so I can highlight it here. And then I'll fill it in green like the rest. Okay, so that's the trip. I like to put that line straight down to the other one. So then you got the latch there, and you got these kind of hooked together so you can keep them straight. Okay, so let's see what trips is. How the manual ones do it. Let's see what, I know from doing the bank relays, when you trip it, that's gonna set something in action. Erase it all. This was just the high score one stepper. I seen it before, but then we went to the wrong one. I missed by one. It was right there. So I got to box that one in, so I quit mixing this up. It was tight to do that. It's really pushed up against the name meter. So now we got it highlighted. Let's see what trips it. Oh, what it's going to be without even looking. It's going to be that partial run stepper disc that should be pictured saying it's at 45 runs. So let's right away go find that. There it is up here, but that's the one that went to, what did it do? High score reset relay. Gee, isn't that what we're doing? Oh, that's a relay. Oh, it's easy to get the relays mixed up with high score reset relay. Hey, that is what we're doing. High score reset. So, oh, see, this is not called high score impulse relay. This is just called high score reset relay. There can't be regular relays. Regular one would be called score reset, so it's not that. That would be a coil, this would be a coil, and the latch would be a coil. There's not 3. I got mixed up with the replay here. So that number 3 switch is not doing, it's not relatching the reset high score, it's relatching the replay one. So it is relatching something every time, it just isn't the one we're doing. This line, now we don't have to figure out why there was 3. So this is the trip, so now let's find the latch. It's this one, high score, reset relay, but they didn't write latch. Let's check the other one, see if they all say either latch or trip. On the replay side, the replay says trip. Let's follow the arrow, unless I put it at the wrong one like I did the other one. Twice. No, it does say latch. So they just didn't write it on there. But it doesn't say high score replay, doesn't say relay. High score replay latch should say high score replay latch relay. But you know, everything on this side's either a solenoid or it's a relay. So they didn't write it either. They just say high score replay latch. So here it has latch in 2 spots, on the first switch that holds it on and on the relay. Hooked them together. Latch until I see something different. So if this is the latch, let's see how it works. You see here the difference between trip and latch. This is the first time I've done these. So this would seem like this one should be the trip, because when you get to 45 runs or whatever you got it set on, and Of course, the impulse relay would be pulled in when it gets this last run, and then it would come over here and it would hit high score reset. So think about it.
I will
The run
eventually.
stopper has a run unit disc on the side to
I
keep
will-
track,
I will eventually figure it out.
and it's going to tell itself to reset itself. But because this must close a circuit on this rivet, so when it gets that run from the run unit is not the red one, so it's going to get that signal. It's going to get that signal from the first end of stroke switch. It's telling the score reels to go up, but at the same time those two score reels go up, the high score reel will go up and the white score reel will go up. Obviously, if you're over this high, you're moving up the high score every time. So those two score reels will go up, but that has nothing to do with this. This is a separate rivet wire coming off this rivet that has this switch. When you get that run, it's the high score switch will be down, closed. And so when you get that run, in this case, more than two things are going to happen. Usually, if you're over the beating the high score, one's going to go up on the. So when the run stopper, in this case, the two end of stroke switches that work like a splitter, it's going to it's going to split the signal. It's going to send one to one of these and one to another one, depends on where. This is probably the run relay. I imagine this is probably the high score impulse relay, so it's going to send it to this one and this one, if that's the way they are. And that's going to move up this, or this one, depends which play it is, and this one. So two of these are going to go up, and at the same time, these telephone wires, those are the telephone wire plugs that you pick. I think they're either on the side or on the bottom. See, there's some on the bottom and there's some on the side. I think the ones on the bottom are to stop it at 35 or 40 runs. I don't know, but either that or it's just going to do it at 45 runs. But either way,
Or you get more free games.
Two things are going to happen. One signal's going to go from the end of stroke switch 1 to the whites column. From the end of stroke switch 2, one's going to go to the reds column. And then if you're on this one, this is the rare time a third thing's going to happen. This will be pulled in, and it's going to go over here to pull in the high score reset relay. As far as I'm concerned, that would trip it, not latch it. So maybe this one's should be called the latch. You know, they put these names on wrong, so let's see what this one does. No, it's called high score reset trip pulse. Okay, this one's the trip. And then it says it again, switch 1 that holds it on, high score reset trip. But that's a score motor giving it the pulse to trip. So that means the score motor has to turn, and this is probably going to be another time where we can't figure out what turns the score motor on. That rivet pulls it in, and it is the latched one. So two of those, it's going to do, so these two really don't count because they're 1 and 2. They're the manual buttons. So it's going to be 3 and 4. So let's just go through them. 3 and 4 down here at 14. That's what we hadn't done. We just knew how the manual ones did it. So now we're going to find out how the automatic reset, high score reset works. I guess they just mean these things open at 0 because you don't want this one to do another notch at 0. You want this one to do it. And this 9 one will power this one, and it gets its power from here when the switch comes in anyway. So this one's probably hooked to this one, and gets pulsed. So the pulse, instead of going here, this one goes open and this one gets it. That's when you're scoring. We're trying to reset. So it looks like the score motor is involved with scoring, because that's why it's called the score motor. I guess I didn't think it was. Right, we're not on scoring. Scoring didn't use it, we did it right. Scoring, I said this would move up. But I never said how it, where it got it from. Because this just goes to a ground rail. So this moves up to here. Oh, and that pulls in. It gives the drum enough to turn it. Okay, so when you score this 9 switch, then when this 9 switch clicks, it does this one. And then the electricity probably comes from this.
They're wired
I mean,
together.
electricity doesn't come from the ground, but it completes it so this hot rail does it. So
These two are wired together.
yeah, so this switch comes up, that jolts it, and gives you something, unless the 9 switch comes around, and then it would do one of these at the tens column. So it doesn't use the score motor to score, but it uses it to reset. There's the reset switch 3 and reset switch 4. One's probably for the tens column, one's probably for the ones column. So now we got to believe something's going to start this motor to pulse the reset. And then these know enough to stop it 0 switch. And maybe that's why they're both showed opens at index, because I guess they're saying index is 0 and they're showing it reset. This all unplugged and reset. So if it's reset, both of these would be open at 0. Before it opened and got to 0, we'll just go up here and over to there. And if the high score reset's going on, this would be pulled in. Switch number 4, I put they were all open. High score reset. High score reset. Normally open, normally open, normally open, normally open. Okay. Well, if that relay's pulled in, this would be shut, and then you'd be getting your 5 impulses. It's just like that other game over thing. I couldn't figure out what starts the motor at game over. No, I think this would happen during the game, because if you got 45, that's going to trigger this automatically,
No, it's not.
and this is going to reset.
You got a 45 limit
so
switch.
this isn't even game over.
You got
But
a
again, it
45
doesn't show
limit
what's going to
switch.
start this motor. This impulse cam, the bottom cam on the score motor, shows that it does both. This way it would go that way, and here it goes up and around. So this motor resets both reels of the high score. All we got to know is how this starts, but we couldn't figure out before. Like before, this is that same dead end. The only things that start that motor that it shows is anything in parallel here. And again, none of these that I know are starting the motor, because this is third strike, start relay, reset hold relay, 25-cent relay, and this one if the switch was down. Index, you could look up to see what starts this. I don't have it labeled on this schematic. So it's going to be 21 and 30. And it's a make and break. Okay. 21 and 30, and it's a make and break. You see it yet? I don't see it. 21 and 30, and it's a make and break. Here it is. 21 and 30 and 74. That would be it, probably, because it's got 3. That would be a make and break. Index, relock in, motor run. When this goes down, it breaks the juice going to the index relay and breaks the lock-in. And when it's down, it's motor run. So that's for startup. This is for when you put the money in, and then it's done. Third strike's for when you got a third strike. Start relays for when you got the start process going on. And the reset hold relay. Hold relay. Number 2 is normally closed. All the rest are normally open. And that's reset hold relay number 5. Normally open. Okay, I know what it is. Because to get this ground, you can follow it up here. You can't get a ground. Because the second player's setup relay isn't on. That's only between players. So you can't get one going this way. That's open. You can't get one going this way. You can't get one going this way. So you could get one going this way, I guess. That would be weird. But these are usually going for the hot side. And you get to the name reset and that's open anyway. So that was kind of dumb going that way. So the one that would pull in would be game over. When the game's over. So then maybe you can't reset that till the game's over.
There you go. I think that's correct.
Except I've still never found out what turns this on for game over, because I thought it would come on when the motor when game's over, because there was something that needed a motor for game over to give a match or a credit or something. So at game over it would get its ground to at least run this motor, except this doesn't start a motor. This pulse cam switch is not the motor. It's the motor where these are in parallel. So I think I know what's going on. I'm going to reset till the end of the game, because to get the ground it's got to go through game over, or it would reset during the second player setup. It's a lot of other things you got it wrong, but these have to come on, and they're not showing how you get the motor turning, so these must be jumpered to the motor. So when this shut, then it will also make the motor come out of the index, and then the next time it hits another index, the motor run would just go around and stop. But
I come up with a different idea than that near the end.
so it must have a jumper going to the motor coil. And in that other spot, when we couldn't find how it would run at the end of the game, must be the same thing, because they can't have all this wired through here to do this without starting the motor. So it's just not on the schematic. That, or I haven't figured it out yet, how it, because it only shows those other spots starting it, and it's A motor, and the other one too was A motor. And look it, there we go for our trip. It trips it at 4. This high score reset relay pulling in closes these 2 switches. One could reset 1's column, the 10's column, but they don't get a ground until the motor turns. I would say these are written backwards. I'd say this is the trip, so when it gets to there, this would trip it.
That's a dumb idea. No.
High score trip.
We already checked it. 3 of those other names were correct.
No, I suppose not. Tripping something usually doesn't pull its switches in. It would relieve it. Tripping it in the game over thing does trip a bunch of stuff and make it do some stuff. So tripping it would do that. Makes sense if somehow the motor did start turning at different positions. At 4C, it would relatch it. Thing is, I wired my machine according to this schematic. So if there's no way this motor's going to turn, it could be, I would say it could be this high score reset relay has a wire going to the motor, but
There
I
you go.
wired it, and I don't remember if I did one or not. It would still work, and it's just a high score. Figure out when the time comes. The trip and latch, but this doesn't really say trip on it or latch. It
But-
just says it's the high
but
score
it is.
reset relay.
It is.
I got it. I filled in the manual reset buttons to switch 2 and 3, but I'll bet you 2 and 3 start the motor, and it's just not listed on the
There you go.
schematic.
There you go.
Manual reset buttons would not be part of the switches on the schematic, on the up there on the when this pulls in. It just wouldn't be. So those other 2 switches for something else, but I wired the machine, so where would I put them? Yeah, so if the motor starts, it will go 360 degrees, because 112. That would go past 4 CY. So this this high score impulse relay is only going to last a second. And so this high score reset relay is only going to be in for a second.
Nope.
So that will
No.
latch until
There you go. It latches.
it hits 4C, and then that will trip it.
There you go.
I've done these kind of relays that have 2 coils. I obviously don't understand what's going on here. So I'm going to move next to the replay. I reread these to make sure I got the right ones. High score replay latch, high score replay trip. Now these might make more sense because they're labeled right anyway. And you got switch 1, and then higher up by 11 you got switch 2. Then you got to go over to the 6-volt side for switch 3. And then when you come back from the other side, you got switch 4, and you got switch 5 down here. So let's find them. And, if you get replays, it's going to be at the end of the game. Except for one thing I read, it said it gave them to it slams. I think that's what it said. I'm dumb. It tells you right here what you're getting them from. It's high score replay trip. With high scores replays given from high scores. So if they give you 5 games for beating it, then this would have a pulse cam. It's the last of the 12 relays. That's the one we had by mistake. The high score impulse relay switch 3 closes in the high score, and that would pull in the latch relay. I get it. This one's easier than the other one. So I'd pull it in a high score replay latch. So it could give you it would latch so it could give you the replay at the end of the game. But then, see, I wasn't thinking about this so that it could always hold the previous high score. That's how previous high scores work on pinball. Wouldn't have a run stepper that it would be wired into.
No.
Maybe that's what's going on here. Every time you would
It's
move up in rivets, when you're past the previous, this just says run unit disk, but so maybe every time that you're matching a previous high, it triggers this and latches it so that it holds the previous high.
nope. Not it. Not it.
Maybe that's
Nope.
all this one's doing.
Nope. Nope.
And because I'm back on this one, and then that would make sense. So every time you got over that, it would just keep giving us the latch thing. That would keep holding it every time it moved. And then, because when you reset the game,
No.
this would stay latched.
The
And then
No, the run stepper
trip it
moves.
off the latch.
The run stepper moves
And-
with the white
Yeah,
stepper.
that might make sense. And then, so when that pulls in and latches, every time you get one of those higher
Nope, nope, get off that
higher
idea.
points,
Nope.
it would work. And
No.
then every time the motor would run, it would reset it. That means these would be held in. And it says these are normally open, even when it's latched. I have to know which way this is when the machine's reset. I would say this stays latched to hold the previous high score.
Nope.
It's called the high score reset relay. There's the word trip. High score reset trip relay. So latched would be in its normal state, and these would
No.
be open.
No, it wouldn't.
Because this would be latched from another person's previous high score.
No,
so
it
even
wouldn't.
when they reset
No.
it and unplug it,
No.
these are still latched in their normal positions. That's why they drew them open. So, therefore, reversed, and it gets reversed by tripping this. So how does this get tripped? I see, this does stay tripped. After you start beating it stays latched at 20, and then it stays latched. And when this keeps going up, I guess this would be energized at one of the times the high score impulse relay pulls in, and it would change.
I guess I'm thinking. I do figure it out.
I see it has two relays, and neither of these can be on, because these are going to have to hold and stay on. Otherwise, this won't have time to do its job. So neither one of these can be on. I never thought of it. So this gets latched when that gets to 45 rounds. After the 45th round where this closes, this gets latched. These stay on until it gets tripped after it's reset. I didn't know. I never done this with two relays, so neither one would be on. So when this one gets set, maybe it stays latched and stays activated until that score motor turns, pulsing and resetting it. And then, so when that gets latched, one of those two unmarked switches must go to the score motor, starts the score motor, and high score reset. This would be in and this would be in, because this would be held on. Then it has to go through these, it has to cut these when it gets to their zero switches and they're reset. This one will reset to 20 because there's something else it must not be telling you to reset to 20 instead of 0. So when these are at 0 or the 20, these open. So these would be locked down because that's being latched. So when this are at 0, we just got to figure out what trips the latch then. Because when these are done, it doesn't need to be latched anymore. So then when the motor turns and gets to 4C, there's one dwell. So when it gets to 4C, that will pull in the trip, and then neither of these will be on anymore. I guess they're both on trip, both not energized, so this one would be off and that one would be off. I didn't realize that maybe this stays energized when it's latched. Otherwise, these switches wouldn't stay shut. And without these shut, this motor ain't going to do anything, because it would be open right here, and it would never get to 0, and it would never be pulsing this solenoid. That sounds pretty good, because that all could work. I was hung up and not thinking of this because I thought the latch was to hold the score. Just nothing holds it. It's just that if you get all the way up to where this one's even, it starts triggering it every time you get one. So up until you get to this, so every time the number 2 end of stroke switch shut, it wouldn't do anything, because it wouldn't do anything till you got up to this rivet so it can get its connection for a ground. So it doesn't do anything till it gets up to there, and then once you get to there, then it starts moving it along every time. So until you get to here, the end of stroke switch 2 is just a dummy round. This out on camera, and it's taken a lot of minutes. Hope it didn't go over 45 to figure this out. 45 minutes. Got how this one works. I can switch to the other one. Switch to the other one. Oh, there it is. One where 1's here to hold this on, 2's up here, 3's over in the 6 volt, 4's back here, and 5's down there. Credits maybe at the end of the game for beating the high score, as high score topped. Works like the other one. Let's go find the latch first. Got 5 switches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the location of the coils L17 and J12. So we want the latch. Let's go right to L17. Next up on the other one, and thought it was on the other reset one, but it's on the replay. So the replay latches it. And the replay latches, I mean the high score impulse relay latches it for every time you get a time you get a run. When the end of stroke shuts, it pulls in the high score impulse relay. That's the one we're talking about, right? High score impulse relay. There's only one. Replays. So why does the replay got to get messed with? If you're going to get a replay, wouldn't that be at the end of the game? So why every time you get a run does this have to pulse? Does this have to jolt through? And that coil latched that other one, then it couldn't have stayed on because this would be on for how long? After that pulls and then latches, maybe the coil goes right back like any other one.
Yay!
I guess it would because
That's
this would
it.
break. Had that wrong in the other one because you could tell from this one this would just have to stay buzzing for a long time. As it latches don't mean that the coil's going to stay energized. Every time you get a run, this would break and this would be not energized anymore. Let's look at the other one. Same thing. This could be on this rivet, and this would be only closed for a second. So I should have not thought this was going to stay on. It's just going to stay latched. And just because we figured out how it gets latched and that it doesn't stay buzzing doesn't have anything to do with any of the 5 switches. It's everything to do with them. Now they're all pulled in. And for that little instant that it's on, to make sure it stayed on, it's going to be held on for this for just a second longer maybe, I don't know. Oh, it goes to the high score meter. Okay, we got number 5 figured out. It goes to the high score meter. Nothing to do with the hole. We're not on high score, we're on replay. Why are we going to the high score meter? Well, here's the switch 1. It's high score replay latch. So I guess it's the hold for when the latch. It latches, all these stay in. So this would be down, so this probably could get tripped later because this is the trip. So if whatever changes this, so let's see score motor turning again. And okay, switch 1 closes the path so that this can get tripped. Switch 5 was the high score meter. Switch 1 makes it so this motor, when it turns at 4B, will break the latch. This one will open so that you don't get the name stepper reset while this is going on from this one turning. If I don't have a switch opener, it would do something else. The pulse one, I knew we'd run into that. That pulses for the it's only going to get its ground at the game over, so this is a replay that happens at the game over. It's going to get its pulses, it's going to go through the closed high score because it's latched, so this is closed while it's latched. We'll go through here, up here, and over there through the adjustments. That will be on. 5, the meter. We've done 4. Stops the names stepper unit reset from getting reset when the motor's turning for another operation. High score replay latch. This is closed so it can get tripped back when this is done by the same score motor that's turning to pulse. And that would be this one's turning to pulse, that one's gonna trip it. Except the trip didn't come through where I thought it did. This one's gonna shut back so I'm gonna get tripped, but look at the path. has to go through this make and break switch, but when the motor turns, this will change. When the motor stops, it will change back, which will cut this hold, and that hold is only staying there as long as this is latched. One, but it's not really a hold. It's down, so you'll have a clear path to break the trip, or to trip it. Yep, that's it. Can trip that, because when the motor turns, this will change poles at 4B. That will trip that. It's over. Thing left is this turns on the high score light.
Right? You come up to help me finish this video? We're about done.
High score light must be the top high score. That's all I can figure. Right, and then this would stay on till the end of the game. And then, because this latches without humming, we figured out. And then when it's tripped back, the high score light will go off. Okay, well, I'm going to download this, and sorry it took so long to go through these two circuits, but thanks for watching, and this is the end of the videos, because we just covered most everything in the back box, and at the same time as these last two relays, so.
With everything there, ain't you?
Okay, I gotta take him for a walk, so I'm gonna download this.